Well, as you can see on the table, I've got a few headlamps, but today we're specifically talking about the redesigned Petzl Tikka, which came out in 2019. So let's take a peek at the newer model. Hey folks, welcome back to CampGeeks, and I have a few different headlamps in front of me. The new Petzl Tikka, which I have actually had since last year. I just wasn't able to get this video out, a few reasons. But that said, I wanted to take a peek at this new one, and now that I have quite a bit of time behind it, what I like, and maybe what I dislike. I also have the Actic, which I purchased a few years ago now, which I really like that headlamp. And then my old Petzl Tikka. This one, I actually have two of them. This one's actually damaged. I can't find my other one. It's somewhere in this house. I literally have stopped using it actually since I got the newer ones. But this was my kind of go-to headlamp for absolutely years. This one finally did break on me. It still does work. I don't know if I get new batteries in it, but I haven't used it for quite a while. And yeah. Obviously it breaking, but that's been kind of my go-to since high school, since college really. So that's a long time ago. That said, and then I have my Noctilite headlamp basically for putting in my tent, but I thought I'd throw that on here as well. However, this being about the last year they redesigned the Tikka, and I think they did almost everything much better than the older version. Rather than the slide switch, which we had on the original Tikka, now we just have a standard push button. And maybe I should bring it in, that way you can see it up and close rather than looking at me. So this is the new Tikka here. This is in the green color. They do also offer it in a blue, a black, and then a white. And the white's it has a white front, but then it also has some like blue and red and stuff like that in the strap. But this is the green variety one. This is also a green Actic, and you can see the size difference. The Actic is quite a bit bigger. The Tikka only weighs in at 82 grams, so it is fairly light. Also starts at $30, so it's always been a big fan of. I'm a big fan of the little bit less expensive headlamps, specifically if they have good light, just like the original Tikka that you can see here. Now this one, like I said, is no longer. I don't really use it anymore because of when I broke the housing. I think I did that in storage actually, not one use. So it is what it is. You can see the strap was kind of delaying, but that's this guy right here is a good 20 years old. So I can't put it against it. If you're talking about a $40 headlamp, a $30 headlamp, I'm sorry. Getting 20 years out of it is amazing. That said, everything that they've done with this was just a on-off mode, right? 3 LEDs on-off, good to go. This one has 3 different light settings for its brightness. It has a red light also that the original never had as well, so you can see it off to the side here. And I'm going to turn that on here in a second, but there's 2 different modes for the red light. Also for burn time, this comes standard with 3 AAA batteries like the original did. I actually have opted for an accessory called the Core, which is a rechargeable one, and I really wanted to review this. So this is going to be a separate video, but I did want to showcase that it is compatible with the Core battery. So we have 3 different light settings, proximity light or whatever, working light, and then kind of a beam light. So like basically low, medium, and high. So you can see it's a single button, so we just click to cycle through, and then when we let it go, it stays on that one. So we have our low setting, our medium setting, and our high setting, and then we click it again to go off. If you're in any variety, so let's say I'm here in the working mode or the middle setting, if you leave it on for, if you're obviously it knows that you're using that light, when you click it again, it'll turn off. It won't cycle you through all of them again. Same thing with any of the settings. If I click it on and I push and hold the button, that's when I'm going to actually switch over to the red light, or basically to preserve your night vision. And there is two settings on that. So we have on, and then we have that like emergency strobe as it is, and then click off. And then of course, anytime you're in one setting, it's going to stay in that setting until you change it over. So let's click it back on. I'll push and hold again. Then I'll go back over to the standard light, and then I can cycle through, right? So time. If you're in the standard white settings, on the low setting, you're going to get about 120 hours of burn time. Then we're switching to 9 hours and then up to 2 hours at the max brightness. I don't use the max brightness very often. I'm usually in that working time, so that middle range. And I would honestly agree that the amount of time that they're giving you, 2 to 120 hours, I don't really use the low setting very often, but that 2 to 9 hours for the mid to high range, I think is very accurate. I don't think that they're overestimating by any means, even with the charge battery. So I'm really happy with the burn time on this guy. 300 lumens is how, if you're on that max setting, how much light you're getting out of it. The low setting is 6 lumens, and I think the standard is the 100. So that middle 100 lumen brightness. That's what I use almost 90% of the time, is what I would claim is the working light. I just don't need to really just crank out the light most of the time. But if you need that spotlight and you're in the wilderness things, that spotlight is fantastic to have as an option. Obviously, if I'm going on the trail, I don't know if I'd opt for the core battery, but I might. If I have a small solar cell, I probably would. That way I could charge this up during the day while I was hiking and stuff. But yeah, I'm really impressed I'm more impressed by the core battery than I was. But then, like I said, that's going to be in a separate video, so I'm trying to get out of that one. All right. So 82 grams, 3 light settings, and yeah, it also is completely compatible, like I said, with in this case, the Noctilite and any of the other accessories. Right? You click it on, and then you zip it shut, and you have your hanging light for your tent, which is, I love the Noctilite. It's a fantastic little accessory that lets me get multiple things done with my headlamp. There's also bike mounting accessories you can get for these headlamps, as well as helmet mounting, so you don't have to stick with the standard strap with that case. I also love the fact that it does have the articulating mount like the newer ones do, that the old one did not. This was just a standard, that's what it was. And of course, real easy to change on the battery, just lift, pull, and obviously if I wasn't using the core, I guess go this way with this one, you can see where they're AAA batteries. So even if you had the core with you, you can always reframe back to AAAs, which I love. I love the fact that this essentially is 3 AAA batteries bonded together in a lithium cell. So yeah, really easy, really awesome. Nice, comfortable headlamp. And also, if you didn't notice, and maybe I should turn off the lights to show you, but let's say if I have this on for any given amount of time, there is actually like a night glow ring, basically a glow-in-the-dark ring. That you can see it there. All right, you can see it, yeah. So if you used it, you can always see where this headlamp is. If you're using it at night, you turn it off, you set it down, you'll be able to see it real quick. Now, of course, that will eventually go away. It's anything that's glow in the dark, it eventually wears down. But especially if you're using it for whatever it is, a few minutes or even 30 seconds or whatever you're using it, as soon as you turn that off, that thing glows pretty good. As you can see it even in the light here. It's glowing pretty good there, that ring around it. Yeah, so I really like that. I think it's very, very handy. But yeah, that's what it is. And of course, me and my infinite wisdom, I have no idea where I put the packaging. I honestly don't. I was so happy to try it because, like I said, I was a huge Tikka owner. This was my go-to headlamp. I had 2 of them and loved them to death. I like to just keep one in one backpack and have one in another backpack. That way I didn't have to worry about it. It was my favorite headlamp because and I have a whole bunch of headlamps. This is a small variety. I have a bunch more. Kind of older, some of the older stuff, things like that. But the Tikka was always my go-to. So between like these 2 new ones that I have, the Actic and the Tikka, which one have I found myself grabbing more? The Tikka. To be honest, I've been grabbing the Tikka more frequently than I have the Actic. Now the Actic is brighter, but it is bulkier. So if around the house, this is definitely fantastic, but I still tend to grab the Tikka more than I grab any other headlamp or any other light in my house. We actually keep these hanging by our front door, both of them, and I'm almost always grabbing the Tikka. But that said, we keep these up there because we use headlamps a lot. We, you know, walking the dogs, doing stuff around the house. When I'm working in, like, adding things or doing things in the house, I love using a headlamp because they're so versatile. Aside from camping, right? These always go camping with us too. But the Tikka is my go-to. Now, if I was to say what, I'm going to pump the brakes a little bit. I said I'm going to say some great things and I'll also say some slight disadvantages to this. The beautiful thing about the old Tikka was its simplicity. Now, I'm not degrading on the fact that they have 3 light modes, a red light beam in here and everything now. However, that's adding more complexity to it, and it is. The thing I loved about the Tikka was how light, how compact, how it was just had that right amount of brightness to it. Like I said, 90% of the time I use that middle brightness setting on this. That said, I'm glad I have the other 2 options. But I do want to point out that this is a little, you know, it's adding a lot of complexity that the old one did not have. This is not simple on and off. There are, if I was to put these head to head, I think over long-term use, over 20 years of use, I would bet you that the old one would still come out on top on lasting longer, just because it's a simple switch on off. That's it. I mean, LEDs, battery, switch. That's it. This has a obviously a button, but it also has a chip in there to tell it low, medium, high, switch over to red light, things like that. So definitely more complexity. It's the downside to it. It's its Achilles heel, I guess, but at the same time, it's fantastic to have. And when you're talking about a $30 headlamp, I would take it. I would rather have the complexity and worry about, you know, in 5-10 years if this goes out, I'm just going to buy a new one anyway. But the Tikka, definitely, probably still to date, my favorite headlamp. Yeah, the Actic is fantastic. It's more expensive. I'll still take a Tikka. I'll take a couple Tikkas. That way I have a backup. So, thanks for watching, guys. If I am full of it and you think I am, please comment below. Let me know. Share, subscribe. Let me know what you think. Shout out to Darwin on the Trail. That's why I'm wearing his shirt today. Awesome channel, so definitely go check him out if you've never watched his stuff. He's awesome. And he's got some fantastic reviews as well. So, thanks for watching us, guys. Thanks for checking us out here on CampGeeks, and we'll check you, or you can come on back for more reviews. I got a whole bunch, and of course, they're not just all headlamps. They're all sorts of different stuff. So, thanks for checking us out. Thanks for swinging by, and we'll catch you for a future video review right here on CampGeeks. We'll see you soon.